All right, we're live. How we doing, everybody? This is your host of Get a Load of This Trucking, Cameron Pesci. As always, this episode is driven by Valley Trucking Insurance. I'm the owner and founder over at Valley Trucking and your host of Get a Load of This. Today, I've got co-host Ryan Young, also a producer with Valley
Hey,
Trucking. What up, Ryan?
hey, everybody.
You're making your rounds up in Canada. You're not in Vancouver today. Where are you at?
I'm in Hamilton, Ontario, about an hour southeast of Toronto and an hour
Nice.
north,
Toronto
or
Raptors.
wait, southwest. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, we're not going to give them any mention. Portland Trailblazers, baby.
Yeah, whatever. If you run into Vince Carter, tell him I said what's up.
Hey,
Fair.
the ghost of Ice is still haunting Toronto, I think. So
Right? Yeah, no
Yeah,
doubt. Uh,
exactly.
yeah. Today is an awesome episode. We've got one of our new partner vendors on, and I'm excited to go into their product because I think they have a tremendous impact on the trucking industry and safety and compliance and technologies and all kinds of um, interface stuff that can integrate directly with your company. We've got Abhishek over with Keep Trucking. My guess is most people in the industry are going to be familiar, but they might not be familiar as to all the tools and capabilities and conveniences that Keep Trucking provides. So let's welcome Abhishek. Abhishek, take a second to introduce yourself and tell us what you do for Keep Trucking and a little bit of your background.
great. Well, thanks, Cameron and Ryan, for having me. I really appreciate the the ability to come on here and talk to your guys' audience. Background on me. I lead our safety and compliance products for Keep Truckin. That effectively covers the majority of our customer base, but also specifically a lot of our long haul trucking customers. I've been here for almost 2.5 years, and it's been an amazing 2.5 years. Prior to that, I was at working at other tech companies. I worked at Uber for a while, Box, and some other places, and so Keep Truckin was just an awesome opportunity to bring technology to a new audience. And transportation is so core to the company, or sorry, so core to the country, so core to our infrastructure, and things moving along that it was just an opportunity I couldn't pass up. So really excited to be here and excited for you guys to have me.
Yeah, and I feel like 2 years in the tech industry is an eternity. So that's awesome because it moves fast. And I was actually just down in San Francisco for a 49ers game talking to a couple gentlemen that had worked for, Google, Yahoo, all these different tech companies and startups. So it was super interesting to kind of hear their upbringing and background from the 90s to today. And it sounds like they've like worked in all the major players that pop up in my mind anyway for tech. So
Yeah. Tech is a fast moving place, and I think there's a lot of opportunity for you to kind of bring in products that help make an impact. So
yeah.
with Keep Trucking, I think we were actually founded in 2013. So we're a fleet management provider for those that may not be aware of what we do, and we focus a lot on how do we sort of leverage AI and technology to really solve some of the most kind of important and compelling kind of problems for our customers. Our customers typically operate in what we call the physical economy. They have physical operations. They have things that require things to be moved, and so some of the hardware products and software products we built are really around how do you get the most out of your products. How do you make your driver safer? How do you be more compliant with the rules of the road? How do you maximize efficiency across your assets? And so um, the company now I think has been, so I mentioned, been 2013. So we have almost over 2,400 employees. We're a Series Z startup, and we've been growing and pretty excited to talk about some of the things that we launched recently in this space.
Yeah, we're excited too. And on the insurance company side, for my business anyway, we actually just recently brought you guys on as a preferred vendor and as a partner to us with our trucking clients. So we're super excited. Before we run too far down that road, let's scale back. One of the questions we like to ask, this is a trucking podcast. Really, we're just trying to bring value and entertainment to the trucking industry. One of the questions we always open up with, if you had a CB handle on the radio, what would your CB handle or tag name be?
CB handle. So does that refer to just my
So
name?
like a nickname on the road. So you're driving the truck and you're Niner Niner. This is whatever. It's a nickname more or less.
That's a good question. You know, I used to a long time ago. I used to DJ a few things here and there with some friends, and one of my friends gave me a nickname, DJ Monk Straps, because I was wearing shoes that had monk straps. So I'd probably stick to monk straps because that'd just be the easiest way
I love it. Yeah,
to.
and I
That's
bet that's not
great.
a current handle anywhere too. That's awesome.
And you know, they have nothing to do with each other, but I'm sure if I was in a truck, I'd be listening to a lot of music, so I'd probably be thinking about that anyways.
What was the go-to music when you were
Excellent.
DJing, and what would you listen to if you were driving?
You know, really anything. Lots of hip hop music, electronic music, slow paced music, and really anything. I think especially if you're a truck driver, you're going to spend a lot of hours on the road.
Yeah.
You have probably a lot
Probably
of
high
time to
energy.
listen to things, but podcasts as
Oh
is that
yeah, I
right?
bet. I bet. Yeah. No, I said probably some high energy music, huh?
Oh yeah, totally. Yes, that would definitely be on the playlist. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
Killer, killer.
Okay, so diving into the safety and compliance side, what are some big initiatives or like some cool things that are rolling out, let's say Q1, looking forward to Q2 and 3 of this next year that you guys are excited to push into the trucking industry that are going to bring value and a benefit to its users in the database?
yeah, that's a great question. So I think actually, kind of stepping back a bit, one of the areas that I really focus on is thinking about safety, right? And I think what we've seen in the industry is, safety is more important than ever. You know, you're in the insurance space, you've seen sort of insurance, costs of insurance, the number of accidents, the use of, cell phones and nuclear verdicts all sort of go on the rise, right? And we've seen, in the last kind of few years, especially, payouts of over 1 million have increased almost by 5x, the last decade. So, we know that there's a lot that, these costs, safety is top of our customers' minds. And so, one of the things we've been really focusing on is how do we think of our product as really giving customers the ability to take a proactive approach to safety. So one of the things we recently launched was our new AI dashcam, and our new AI dashcam, is is a real top of the line kind of camera that we've shipped recently. One of the things we've seen with a lot of AI dashcams in the market is a lot of them are claimed to be sort of advanced in this space, and I think with our approach with the AI dashcam, we wanted to build a product that actually really focuses on driver prevention. And the product that we built here, it instantly alerts drivers, on making sure that anytime unsafe behavior is detected, they're aware, and it's been captured by the dash cam. And so this product is actually part of our overall kind of sort of AI powered safety platform. But the new kind of product that we shipped recently, I think, really ensures that from a driver standpoint, and then from a safety department standpoint, they're capturing as much information around sort of behavior on the road, which can then be used to improve outcomes on the road as well. And so, we've really taken advantage of a lot of the advances made recently in edge AI and computer vision, and we think, the businesses that sort of manage their drivers, vehicles, equipment, physical assets, this technology has really room to transform kind of this entire space with with leveraging more kind of AI capabilities. And so I'll talk a little bit more about kind of our product space, but I think what we've seen is, obviously the AI camera is very important. We've invested a lot from building an edge AI processor, advanced computer vision algorithms. We're getting what we probably have seen as the most accurate camera in the market in terms of detecting unsafe driving behavior. Things like cell phone alerts, right? One of the top reasons for accidents, tailgating. This is all alerting drivers in real time. But then what we do with that data, that these videos, these alerts that are being generated, we actually have a in-house safety team that's able to sort of review these videos. This team operates 24/7, 365 days a year, and they analyze every single video, within seconds of the event happening to add additional context and additional sort of severity indications, which are then able to get prioritized and sent to safety departments to review. And so, I think you on the insurance side or others can really take benefit in knowing, hey, these alerts are being sent to the drivers, but in real time, departments are being notified if something is happening. And so if it's a collision, if it's something that's a correctable behavior, they have the data right there with video to be able to then go and coach their drivers, towards better outcomes for when they complete their trip. We call that kind of our automated coaching and review process. And the last thing,
and that stuff would all go to the fleet manager or safety manager or the owner of the company for their driver, kind of real time.
yes, that's correct.
Oh wow.
And we add in additional insights on top of that around things like, what was the severity in this location? Were there additional correctable behaviors that could have been captured here that the driver exhibited? Really a mix of, where does a driver need to have better training, but where can the driver also probably just need to have a better sort of idea around how to do these things. And so that sort of kind of like a micro view of safety, but we also offer the sort of macro view of safety, and that really comes together with our drive risk score. And so our drive risk score, we don't think of it as sort of managing events one video event at a time. We don't think safety is just at that level. We wanted to give customers really a holistic understanding of drivers' performance across, leveraging the drive score. The drive score is effectively a risk product. What most telematics vendors will do here is, they'll build a really basic score. They'll do some custom weights times the number of events that happen and give you a score. And what we've seen is, and heard time and time again from customers, is how subjective that score is. The kind of the basic scores that they get in the market today. And so we set out to kind of build this new kind of product that really gave an objective view of safety on the road, kind of leveraging our entire network of KeepTruckin vehicles. We're well north of 500,000 vehicles on the road, I think close to 600,000. That gives us insight into every single behavior on the road, a highway, city road, country road. We can use that to basically benchmark safety for a driver and for a fleet against the entire KT network. And that gives customers sort of this objective measure of risk, which when we have done our benchmarking, we found has been 5x more predictive of accidents than some of the leading safety scores we've seen in the industry. And so, we see customers really utilizing it as kind of building out their entire safety program, everything from drivers to coach to train, and then very importantly to reward as well. Certainly aware of the shortage and kind of the challenges on the labor side in the industry today. And so, we think safety products can make a really big benefit, can be extremely beneficial for drivers on the road, where it can reward and incentivize not only the right behaviors, but the right drivers. And I think if you can reward the positive as much as penalize the high risk, that really leads to sort of the outcomes that you want as a safety department.
Yeah,
So
reinforcing positive behavior and good tactics and stuff. What are some examples of things that it will pick up on a positive attribute or behavior that it's going to recognize? And then a follow-up question to that, obviously on the negative side, is what's one of the leading, I guess, identifiers for an accident? Because you said it's more likely to predict an outcome than just using your old formula. So let's dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, those are both great questions. So on the positive side, I think it really comes down to how the product is created. So the product, how it really looks at driver behavior in across a road segment, across a stretch of highway, let's say. And one of the things that we look at is, let's say, for example, you had a hard braking incident in a very sort of dense traffic zone. Let's say, Lincoln Tunnel near New York City. And then, let's say you had a hard brake in a not a very densely populated stretch of highway. we look at those two as not being equal. The person braking in the traffic, populated area is most likely going to do that because there's just traffic, right? And they're probably doing something because they're actually being safe. They're going with the flow of traffic. On the flip side, if we see data in someone braking in a highway stretch of highway where there really is no one else braking there, that's much more indicative of someone braking because they're exhibiting some sort of unsafe behavior. Maybe they're speeding too much or things like that. So if you look at the flip side now, most products would see these as equal. We don't. And that's really where the positivity piece comes in that, the drivers that are maybe following the rules of the road, following the flow of traffic, right? They're braking where everyone else is braking in a traffic zone. We're not going to penalize them. We're not going to make them sort of, lose out on any potential incentives because they're just doing what is considered normal where they're driving. So that context is really built into the product. And I think that context really creates a separation for, what should be considered positive behavior versus negative behavior. And now to answer your other question about, what are leading indicators of accidents? I mean, so we've done a lot of kind of ROI work on our side to understand kind of, how do our safety products kind of lead, what are some of the indicators? But one of the top ones we see, consistently is speeding, right? And we know speeding is a challenge, not just with our customers, but, in general. And so we have a speeding product that we built that customers can use to get real-time alerts, about posted speed limits, truck speed limits. They can sort of suggest if, drivers should be getting these as alerts to the camera as well. But what we have seen is speeding tends to have a big factor in accidents. And there's obviously other factors kind of built into it, but we do see that, that's one of those behaviors that can be corrected. It can be corrected. It can be improved. And if you see kind of a reduction in speeding, you will see typically a reduction in accidents and things like that. We have a number of customers who've actually exhibited that over and over again using our product. And so, so Drive Score in that sense is kind of like this macro view of safety. We want to make sure that you can kind of see the positive, but also how you need to improve your fleet.
Yeah, how cool is that? And plus, I think a lot of drivers, this is an industry that's tough to give positive or real time, either reinforcement or correction, because people want guidance, whether positive or reinforcement of, hey, it's a positive thing that I'm doing, or negative too. They want a corrective advice on, if I'm not doing something up to your standards, what could I be doing better? I think this is a ton of value because that's what I heard there. It gives either fleet manager, safety and compliance officer, whoever's overseeing safety and kind of real time over the fleet, the ability to real time provide positive and negative conversations with the drivers. So, man, that's really neat. That's awesome. And what is this? Is there enough data in place to show where you're reducing the frequency of crashes with all these tools being implemented on the company level? Are they seeing a reduction in downtime and accidents and, negative safety scores and all that?
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually going to add one more thing, I think, on the, on the positive side and helping drivers get better. Before I jump into that, one of the things I think we've seen with, with our customers and our drivers is we give drivers access to their videos. We're a strong believer in sort of transparency, right, and making sure that there's open lines of communication between fleets and drivers and trust. And so one of the ways that we made safety departments just more effective is by giving drivers access to their own videos, which we've seen that being a sort of a broad fleet management platform, there's a lot of engagement in our mobile application, which means that drivers are going to be utilizing and watching these videos. Through the use of watching these videos, through our kind of our coaching platform, we've seen that drivers do end up reducing their rates over time. And I think that's a really key thing because your drivers are on the road all the time. You're in the office or you're in the road. You're not going to have time to bring them in and talk to them, or it'll just take too long, right? And so we wanted to make sure that by giving them access to their own videos, it also brings in the positivity of accessing your own information, but also making sure that when you do have that conversation, you know what that conversation is going to be about, and you're on the same page. And there's a lot of transparency in that sense. So I think that's a really important thing. I think drivers really appreciate that. I think fleets really appreciate that. The office appreciates that. Now, to answer your question about sort of reduction in accidents, things like that, we've done a number of sort of studies and looked at a lot of, talked to a lot of different customers. We have a fairly sort of robust way of understanding this. One of the things we have seen, is typically we've seen a kind of accident rate reduction anywhere from sort of 30 to 40% with a lot of our customers, and that's usually in 1 year of having the AI dash cam and using our coaching product and on top of that, and we've seen that through our own kind of statistical analysis. And we've also seen that by talking to specific customers and understanding the impact that these products have had on their space. We're going to be we have shared that information before, but I think it's important for customers to know that a lot of the benefits of these cameras and safety products, it has to be sort of utilized, and you once you utilize it, you can start seeing results in 1 year.
Yeah, I was going to say, it seems like from an accountability standpoint too, that the drivers being able to, reflect on any, mishaps or something they could have made probably is a huge breakthrough for them as well. I mean, from a psychological standpoint, I know a lot of us tend to be fairly defensive when somebody accuses us of something and we don't want to admit responsibility. So being able to go back and take an honest look at a mistake you may have made probably will also help increase the future safety of that driver. I mean, I'm sure there's probably studies on it, but it seems huge.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. And I think, a big part of what makes that happen is, these AI dash cams, they have to be accurate. They have to be sort of, have the right levels of precision to be able to say, hey, Ryan or Cameron, if I'm alerting you because you're on your cell phone, I'm actually doing it because it's true.
Right. Yeah.
And that's how we've designed our product to make sure that there are almost no false positives. It's an AI term, but really we want to make sure that the alerts you get are things that you can trust. And we've seen that with other camera products in the market. They generate a lot of false, inaccurate events, and people lose trust. Drivers lose trust. The fleet manager loses trust. And you made this, expensive investment that's not really panning out. And so, we're one of the, few AI dashcam vendors I think can really stand behind this. That says like, our, AI technology is about as accurate, as it gets. And I think it's really a combination of that, plus the automated coaching through the videos, the drive score. That's what's really has led to customers getting to that accident reduction rate that I talked about of 30 to 40%. I also know this because I have this in my own car, and the amount of alerts I used to get for using the cell phone versus what I get now after months and years literally of testing, it's actually a big difference. I don't want to talk about my drive score because that's actually pretty embarrassing, but from an AI kind of alerting standpoint, I've seen my own kind of cell phone use really improve over time and actually decline. And I think, if I can do it in my own personal cars, then, I'm sure we're seeing the benefit of that with a lot of our customers.
Right. Yeah. And what's kind of funny there is, being somebody who sells insurance, I also wouldn't want to share my personal driving stories or style with anybody. So I think we can agree to keep that concealed. Yeah. On the other end of things, I was curious. So you're on the product side for the trucking segment. What other areas does KeepTruckin go into? I mean, it sounds like there's obviously a big AI aspect, but I imagine that's probably fairly overarching. Can you go into a little bit of that, more so just for curiosity's sake, and then we can get back to the trucking side?
Sure. So in some of the other areas that, we as a company operate in, we're not just in trucking only. We have, a good, a lot of customers actually kind of broadly across multiple industries: construction, oil and gas, passenger transit.
Excellent.
We have customers kind of across all these different segments. We have
Okay.
over 100,000 customers, on our platform, and so we are effectively operating in almost every single vertical that is there or have something to offer all of them. And then if you kind of look at our kind of fleet management platform, we focus on beyond kind of the AI driver safety, the compliance side. We do focus on things around fuel maintenance, helping understand kind of automated driver workflows. We have a sort of a really broad kind of portfolio of hardware products as well. We have an asset gateway, that can be also leveraged, to track, in real time your assets. So as a platform, we're really broad,
Right.
and we see kind of customers across all segments, all types of vehicles, and so that's really, we took a sort of a specific kind of what I would consider kind of vertical based approach to the market, but as a product now, I think it's very broad, very horizontal, and works really across any segment. And we have a number of customers across all of those.
Excellent. Yeah, I know. And I think a big thing, and Cam, I don't know if this crossed your mind, with the majority of clients I talk to, I would say 80% of them in the trucking industry are going with KeepTruckin as an ELD program. And not to mention, obviously, you guys offer a wide, scope of benefits to using your product in that industry. But it seems like you guys obviously have some good marketing, and then you know, to my surprise, you guys have an excellent just array of market and research that's really going to change the safety and future of the trucking industry, it sounds like.
Yeah, we're strong believers in the benefits of bringing sort of AI technology, to the segment. I think there's a lot of opportunity for helping our customers really change, their cost profiles, helping them sort of achieve better safety outcomes with reduced accidents. And I think the AI dashcam is one aspect of it, but if you look at the entire platform, I think everything is really beneficial for from customers from that standpoint. One of the things was I used to work at Uber prior to KeepTruckin, and
Yeah.
I was worked with our self-driving car division for a period of that, and I think self-driving technology gets a lot of attention, lots of money, lots of press, right, in terms of the potential benefits it'll have on safety. But the full deployment of that technology is still a ways out, and
Right.
that's what really compelled me to come to KeepTruckin, because safety needs to be solved now. It's
Right.
not like these accidents are going to happen in some future; they're happening now. And if you have AI technology that can be deployed very quickly, very cost efficiently in vehicles today, then why not, right? And we've seen, as I talked about earlier, in terms of accident reduction, that you can make an impact now. And so I think given where we are, we've been I think we've been lucky in the pandemic, that we can sit at home and order things online. But there's a real kind of you know industry out there that's moving these things and getting these things efficiently for us where we need it to be. And so I think we have a real kind of obligation to make them safer on the road with some of the products that we're making. And so we're really sort of bullish on what we do in terms of the impact we can have with safety, and really think that the work we do really matters. So
Oh,
that's
and
what gets me excited about being here.
yeah, and it's so fantastic. I mean, really, when we talk about the issues with just major lawsuits, this is a topic that comes up often in our conversations, obviously in our business outside of this and as well in the podcast. These massive lawsuits that are happening, if you can, change the reduction or change and reduce the amount of flaws, fatalities, driver errors, et cetera, you're talking about changing the industry. Because right now, we're having conversations about raising insurance limits, and because there are these $15 million lawsuits for a company that will literally tear a company off the road, and not to mention you're saving lives in the long run as well. And maybe in the short term, like you said, that's why you came here, to have an immediate effect, and it seems like you're doing just that. So I definitely applaud the product and what you guys are doing,
Yeah.
obviously, to push it.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what we want to do in the next few years. I think we really think there's such an opportunity here, for safety to make an impact. I think you kind of hit the nail right, which is there's a lot of things that are happening in industry now. Safety is more important now than ever, and it's only going to continue going that way, right? There's more demand for things. There's more. You're going to want things faster, and you're going to want things more cheaper, and so that means that a lot of the supply and the labor today has to sort of be able to keep up with that, right? And kind of the history of trucking has been it's gone from being something that was very regulated to not being unregulated. So the economics, I think, are definitely they're definitely set up in a way that you have to sort of continue driving and to really start earning. And I think there's a lot of opportunity here for them to sort of really reduce their costs by making safety much more beneficial to them versus just a pure cost for a lot of these customers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think bringing it back to a business owner aspect, you got to look at what does an unsafe company or driver culture do for you as a business owner? Because the concept of trucking is simple, right? I'm going to agree to take a product, your cargo, from point A to point B safely, efficiently, and in the time frame that I've designated and told you I would do it. That's essentially like a successful trucking company, right? But there's so many things that happen in between with congestion of the roadway. I mean, just for a small example, when COVID first hit and nobody was going to work and there's less traffic on the freeways and the infrastructure, accidents reduced greatly. Um, so now we know that, and we know that there's always going to be cars and there's going to be congestion, and it might be different how that looks tomorrow than it has in the past, but you're still going to have to deal with that. And so the best way to do that and combat that is a culture of safety, giving valuable guidance and feedback to your drivers, the ability to train them real time, and also use video as training opportunities. One of the things that kind of jumps out at me, and it might be because we recently did a podcast that'll be coming out about marketing, is I think you can use some of those segments of training opportunities and recordings as good PR for your company, and kind of building this environment of, hey, we value our drivers, we value making them the best that they can be, protecting the public and keeping everyone safe and getting the driver home at night. I mean, that's what matters, right? And keeping the public safe. I mean, these truck drivers take an oath if it's, plowing into a car or taking themselves off the road. What do? Most are going to take the route to go off the road to protect the public. And so I think all these things just compile into a great positive culture for a trucking company. Not to mention, to the original point, how much money does that save a company? When you run without interruptions, I mean, the downtime and getting repairs these days is astronomical. Your truck goes to the shop. A, can you get parts? B, good luck finding a mechanic that can do it in a timely manner and getting your truck back on the road, not to mention the shortage of rental vehicles that we're facing at the moment. So there's so many different things that impact a safe driving operation versus one that constantly has interruptions with poor driving habits, accidents, out of service violations, which I think your product addresses. Let's dive in a little bit to you said you can help predict, or you have a mechanical component aspect of the product that you can probably help predict, hey, we need to start addressing these needs on this truck. It's X amount of years old. We're hitting this mileage milestone. Here's things that we need to start doing to prevent mechanical failure and breakdowns. Is that correct?
Yeah, we do work in a preventative maintenance and sort of predictive maintenance kind of realm. We collect data from from these vehicles, fault codes and things like that, and then we can use that to help customers understand where these issues are going to be. So we do have a pretty kind of robust offering there. And I think we've seen a lot of customers really benefit from that in terms of helping to sort of manage their fleets more efficiently. Understanding, how do we sort of make the right purchasing decisions? How do we sort of understand the right downtime decisions? And I think that's really the benefit of a fleet management platform, right? It's maintenance and sort of downtime is one aspect of how do I utilize my assets and continue building my business. And so I think as a product, we kind of cover all of these different spaces purely for the reason of we don't think you should be looking at everything as sort of like an individual vacuum, but really all this data needs to be coming together.
Yep.
Time and time again, we hear from customers. I use this for this and this for that and this for this, and all this data is very siloed. And I think you're not really getting the benefits of you know of technology if all your data is siloed and you can't make sort of the right decisions with all this data living in disparate worlds. And so, I think with an integrated and really automated platform like ours, you do get the opportunity to look at maintenance, but also in the context of everything that's happening across
Yeah.
your fleet. Right? How do I utilize fuel more efficiently? Which vehicles, are having an actual problem? Which drivers may need to be coached to improve their fuel usage? And or what's the mileage looking like on one versus another? So we've done a lot of work around that as well in making sure customers understand how to just run a much more fuel efficient product. And with sort of sustainability, kind of on the horizon, we're doing a lot of work there to ensure that we can support electrification for fleets as it happens. And so there's a lot of I think that's really the benefit of, again, going to an
Yeah.
overall integrated fleet management platform.
Well, and you're providing a dashboard just like they would have in their truck of alarms and alerts and systems and gauges in a different, obviously, context there, but that's what you're basically providing. And I know we've hammered a little bit higher level and centric around the fleet, but there's still a ton of value. And I know a lot of owner operators that utilize you guys for the ELD component and all these other things, because an owner operator or a newer company can still implement all these habits and resources and product integration as they grow and as they scale. And in fact, I think it would be a very smart move for someone to do that, because then it's already integrated into the normal workflow in their day to day. And as they scale, it'll just become that much easier, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And a good way to kind of think about this, right? We've had a lot of customers that have grown on our platform, right? We've had,
Right.
we've had companies been around since 2013. We've continued innovating and, shipping, an ELD product, expanding to IFTA, DVIRs, the AI dashcam, fuel. But we've seen actually, as we kind of grow our product, we see customers grow with us. And so now if you kind of look at our customer base, we have customers, very large customers, and very sort of new up and coming owner operators as well. And I think the really important thing to know is, our product is designed to help you grow your business. It's designed to help you kind of save these costs and put them towards growing your business. But if some of the largest fleets are using our product, then you can be effectively rest assured that you're using a product that the big boys use as well. And if you want to get to that over time, you can't go wrong,
Yeah.
with a product that's used by everyone. So I think
No.
there's a lot of benefit for all of them.
And
Absolutely.
do you need someone in necessarily a safety or compliance role to interpret and take this data that comes through, or really an owner? How much time would it take on an ongoing basis? Let's say they have a few trucks and an owner is in charge of this, or a husband and wife or someone. Is it a few hours a week that they can internalize and use this data, or what do you guys say for implementation?
I would say it should be minutes.
Okay.
We think of building our products, from a sort of a really consumer aspect in mind. You know, we understand kind of our demographic and our profile as well, right? Drivers are, going to be all over the place, and have all different kinds of backgrounds and experiences. So we design our products in a way that makes it accessible to all, and easy to use for everyone. And so,
Great.
the ability to interpret, our data, for example, our drive score. Drivers have access to their drive score, in the mobile application themselves, right next to their videos. They can see how much they've improved. They can see why it's declined. And we test a lot of this. As we're kind of building out these products, we test and validate a lot of the things that we're building with customers, and they're customers of all sizes, small, medium, large, just to make sure that the products we're building serve their needs in a way that makes it easy for them to consume it, and then actually utilize it to get to those outcomes I talked about. And so, our approach is like, how do we make the most easiest to use product at the same time give you the most sort of robust kind of functionality available, and some of the most forward-looking technology as well. And so, I think of it as really like an iceberg, where maybe at the top you see the tip of the iceberg, but there's so much complexity. The adage, right? 80% of the iceberg is actually underwater. That's how we think about building our products. the complexity is there, but that make that our problem, and we should make the customer just have the most easiest to use and sort of simple product in the market.
Right, just like an easy to consume, and they don't have to do analytics while they're driving a truck down the highway.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't be a good idea. And I have tried doing that. I've tried consuming our videos, and I got the AI dashcam yelling at me. So I've learned to stop doing that now and just focus on the road, which I think is probably something my wife is happier with.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had the
I can
same on
imagine.
my car, and I had to turn it off because it's fast acceleration, rapid braking, all this stuff, and it's like driving my insurance score down. Can't do it.
Yes.
Man, that's
That's
awesome. What's some other exciting stuff coming up on the horizon? I mean, the mission's great. I love it. Everything you guys are talking about's great, and hopefully people are able to take some nuggets, out of this conversation. And if they have a different vendor, consider looking at Keep Trucking, especially as a partner. We've got a great partnership deal worked out where they can go through our website and get you guys. But what are some things that they would expect coming down the road?
So one of the things we just recently announced, and I think this was hot off the presses like last week, we are now giving all fleets access to their CSA scores within the KeepTruckin platform.
Hmm.
So we've been sort of rethinking kind of compliance and really built this brand new sort of compliance management suite that has been really getting really great reviews and feedback from customers. So one of the things you can do in there, we have this sort of brand new compliance hub. You can access all of your HOS data, very easily. What kind of violations? It's super, lots of trends, lots of historical views you can have. But on top of that, you can actually see your CSA scores right there for the last few years. You can kind of see based on the different basic categories, what states are you getting, inspected in, and then what should you do on top of that. And I think the combination of getting your CSA score on our product as well as our kind of proprietary drive score, you now have this really great view into risk across your fleet.
Yeah.
So you can make just a lot more sort of intelligent decisions about how do we approach this, and we're one of the we're one of the only real telematics vendors that have really added the ability to access your CSA scores within the product, and we think that's going to be really beneficial for
Yeah,
customers.
that's
I
huge.
think
And
it's
do you
good, and it
think?
would reinforce what we do because at our agency we review the CSA scores, review like actionable items. We go over the weighted time, like
Mm-hmm.
how long it'll take to fall off and reduce your safety and compliance score, your hours of service. And the cool thing is yeah, drill down on the states. And so it's like, hey, these states are causing 80% of your issues. Like, let's really dial this in and make sure your pre-trip, post-trip, and your maintenance is up to spec on these trucks that are going here. And now we can actually drive improvement, which in turn reduces risk. So, hey Ryan, go ahead, bud.
Yeah, I just had a quick question in regards to the CSA scores. Do your products, excuse me, actually give recommendations on like things that may help improve CSA score? Is that what you were mentioning, or is that something coming down the line?
Yeah, so what we do now with our CSA scores is we show you your score, but we also actually show you the forecast of how many points are going to be coming off in the next few months. Kind of exactly what you're
Excellent.
talking about, Cameron. And using that, you can kind of dictate, what kind of actions I can take. We've seen, customers, for example, see, hey, I've got a big speeding problem, and they can automatically set us speeding alerts through our product through the safety through the camera, to alert drivers right away of when they're speeding above a certain limit. So we kind of see that integration right there, and I think that's really beneficial for customers. But that does start with looking at kind of getting the picture of your CSA scores. And what we have seen, with our platform is customers that have used KeepTruckin, they've seen their HOS violations actually reduce by 50%, since they've used KeepTruckin. And I think that's really what we want to,
That's huge.
that's what we want the benefit of a compliance management suite to be, is that you should get better at managing compliance. It's a burden, it's a lot of time. We've seen customers reduce the time and the efficiency by 50% as well. So we just want this to be a platform that they can use to really ensure that their time energy is being put towards growing their business, and things like compliance, which you have to do, and it's very understandable. We help you sort of really make that easy to use, and really automated in our platform.
Yeah, and another thing, and this is maybe more of a thought than it is a question, but it seems big because obviously we're in an industry where there are a lot of leased on operators in some degrees, and there's usually a big disconnect, especially when the businesses are getting started. They have friends or friends of friends that they hire as drivers, and then their vehicle isn't necessarily something they see very often. So the time they know there was actually an issue with the equipment on the vehicle is when it comes up on a bad inspection. So this seems like a great way to help them just stay in touch with what's going on inside their company as the dynamic of the trucking industry changes and maybe even gets a little more distant than it has in the past.
Yeah, that's right, and I think that's bringing that data to your bringing that data, giving that visibility. I think that's what's most important, right? That's how you can make the right decisions, and you, as we said, these guys are core to the economy, so we want to make sure they have the most easiest to use data right at their fingertips.
Of course, of course. Cool. Well, I know we are getting close to the end of time. Man, we really, really, really appreciate you being on here. I've been having a little bit of tech issues from my mobile work spot, but a question we do really like to ask. You can relate this to the company, or you can relate this to yourself, as you've been doing a lot of speaking about the company. But if you were able to put one message on a billboard for everybody to see, truckers and anybody on the road alike, what would that message be?
What would that message be? I it's a great question. Off top of my mind, I think I'm really really bullish on the AI dashcam that we've launched recently. I think the message I would put on top is not all AI dashcams are created equal. We want them to test KeepTruckins, and they will see the results for themselves.
Excellent, and
Yeah,
no,
I
that's
think
great.
a fear that a lot of people probably have to overcome is allowing Big Brother, so to speak, inside the cab, and the resistance and pushback that drivers might get, especially when you got over the road where, hey, they're sleeping in the truck and stuff like that. What are the functionalities of the camera, and then like the fail safes to ensure that like on their downtime the truck isn't moving, the camera's not going, and that kind of stuff? What does that look like? Just to touch on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's a great question, and we certainly understand privacy for drivers is extremely important, and we ensure that from driver standpoint we respect and maintain their privacy with our products. So one of the things that we do is and you have to sort of think about this as that AI dash cam it's really think of it as a work product, right? And it will the drivers that are sort of following the rules, it will benefit them, and that's where we think it's as much as it is a deterrent to unsafe behavior, it's also a promoter of great behavior. And so some of the best drivers we've seen really take that feedback into account and use it to really improve and leverage the technology to get all kinds of benefits. But there's other things that we provide out of the box. So there's a privacy lens cover that drivers can use to cover the camera when they don't need to use it or when it's off duty. We also make sure that with the camera, you have the ability to press a button and record a video and send it up, to the to the dashboard. And that's really beneficial because if a driver is ever in a situation where they need some additional help or support, and they want to be able to show the video footage on top of that, that's really where it benefits drivers as well. And so, the last thing I'd say on this is, with all the data that's being collected, all this data, it's anonymized and aggregated from our standpoint. So from our perspective, there's a lot of security controls built into place to make sure that this data is not, not being used in any sort of malicious way, and it's only if it's anonymized, it's really in benefit of the driver in that sense. And so customers can really take satisfaction in knowing that. But I do think that from a driver standpoint, some of the other things we talked about, you can really benefit from that.
Yeah, that's cool. No, good answer to that. And I know that that's a pushback we get from sharing the ELD data or the vendor, or, when people want access to that, people get a little sensitive and skittish to that. So I think that was a great answer. So I think that's good. If people had additional questions or wanted to learn more about the product, I'll post a link for us to direct people in there. And we got a Facebook group, Get a Load of This Trucking. But if they wanted to learn more, what's the best way to get in touch with Keep Trucking and just either demo the product or check it out?
They can just reach out to our sales team, sales@keeptruckin.com.
Okay.
And if you're a customer, you've got things you want to reach out to, you can always reach out to support@keeptruckin.com. And I'm always happy to talk to customers as well, or prospects about their needs. I think we certainly care about a lot about what's going on with trucking and the industry, but also love to get their feedback on what they'd love to see from us.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I appreciate that, and we appreciate your time on this podcast. It was super valuable to me, I think, and hopefully a lot of listeners will get a lot of value out of that if they're not already current clients or customers of yours. Like Ryan mentioned, I feel like 7 or 8 out of every 10 people that we talk to are already with you guys. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, it means
cool.
you must be doing something right.
Right.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me on the podcast today. I'm glad you've been able to hear me talk about my own bad driving practices, but I'll get better. And thanks for all the products, we'll get there. But I really appreciate the time you guys gave me, and Keep Truckin to having us today. And I really love the work you guys are doing here on the podcast, but also with helping on the insurance side with a lot of our customers.
Man. Much
Yeah.
appreciated. So.
Yeah, and one day maybe we'll have to have you on for a conversation deeper into AI and the technology, not necessarily even the trucking industry. It seems like a broader conversation, but it sounds like you probably know a lot about that, and might be a little higher level or higher technical language than some people would be used to. But I think it'd be an interesting episode if you're interested in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to be on here. Love to kind of talk about, do a deep dive into, our AI and sort of our computer vision investments and where we see that's going to. So, we'd love to do that at some point. Let me know when.
Excellent, man. We appreciate you.
Yeah. Cool, man.
Great.
All right, that concludes another episode of Get a Load of This. Tune in for upcoming episodes coming out, and also join our Facebook group, Get a Load of This Trucking. It's over in Facebook. There's a lot of good content, deals, people sharing informations, or just stuff about the trucking industry in general. So, till next time, thank you guys.
Thank you.